quality shot right there.
Your official home for Beavers sports. On the campus of Bemidji State University, this is The Huddle with Zach Lunt and Dan Amundsen. The Huddle starts now.
Welcome to The Huddle. I'm your host, Zachary Lunt. The co-host over here is Dan Amundsen.
How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good.
All right, so Dan, let's start off with basketball here. Women's lose Friday 69-47 against St. Cloud on Friday. And then on Saturday, they also lose 68-47 against Duluth. What's your thoughts on the loss?
Well, that wraps up their regular season, and clearly those two games went the way we probably could have expected with the way the rest of their season went. So honestly, no surprises. I'm not surprised by those two losses at all. And so it just wraps it up. So now they got some playoffs to go into, and we'll see if they can make a run, and we'll see how far they go. I don't expect much out of playoffs from them, but we'll see as they get into it now.
Yeah. All right. Well, so men's lose 85-58 on Friday, and then on Saturday they also lose 74-62 on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Is this the end for the Beavers here for the basketball?
It should be. I don't think they're going to go very far. I think they're an 8 seed, if I remember correctly, in the tournament. And I think that ends their streak of splits. I think they had like 6 splits in a row to end off the year or something. So if you were counting that and betting money on that at all, then sorry, you lost your money on that. It's about the only excitement we've had out of this team lately is seeing if they could keep that streak going, which isn't all that impressive, and they didn't. So that's done. We'll see. I'd expect an early exit from them as well.
All right. Well, so let's turn into the hockey here. So we got the women's hockey. They lose Friday 6-3, and they lose on Saturday 4-3 against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on the loss like that?
Well, that 6-3 game on Friday, I think that score is a little deceiving. I don't know what you think. You and I were both there. Mm-hmm. I felt at least that first period was very close. It was very, very energetic and close and high-scoring first period. I think it was 3-2 after the first. Minnesota had the lead. Then kind of the second and the third, Minnesota just kind of said, hey, let's go win this game, go finish it out, and they kind of did. But I still think it was a closer game, and Minnesota's obviously a very good team. They got bumped up to number 1 in the nation. They overtook Wisconsin. They won the WCHA. That was confirmed Saturday night. So they did that. So they're a very good team, and I think the Beavers actually played really well both games and hung with them. And so that was impressive. Jim Scanlon was very happy with how they played. I was happy with how they played. I was having a lot of fun actually at those games, despite the small crowds and whatnot, but I was getting into it. So I think it was actually a decent 2 games to end their season on.
Yeah, especially I think the Friday game, it was kind of off and on the periods. Minnesota was really scoring a lot quicker than the Beavers were, but they did tie it up in the game, and then they lost it in the third. But on Saturday it was a lot closer game. I actually thought Beavers were going to take it, maybe just split the series. That'd be amazing to split a series and upset another number 1 team.
That's right, and they came close. I think they scored like a minute left to make it a 1-goal game, so there was hope, but it just didn't happen.
Just didn't happen, yeah. So the next for the Beavers, there you have playoffs against Duluth, and that's March 1st through the 3rd, and March 3rd is only if necessary.
Right.
So they have the 3 games. It's only the first 2 and the third's if necessary if they both split it.
Right.
Do you think the Beavers will win the first round of playoffs?
I think they will. They've proved that they can play really well against good teams. Duluth's a decent team. They're not great. They're decent. And they have to go to Duluth. That adds an extra level of challenge. You got to travel. And granted, it's only about a 2-hour bus ride, whatever. But still, you got to travel a little bit. So I think it's going to be a challenge. I think they can pull it off. As they proved, they've held their own against Minnesota. They held their own against Wisconsin, Ohio State, some of these other teams. I don't see why they couldn't do it against Duluth.
Yeah, for sure. And next thing is, how far do you think Beavers will go for the women's hockey?
I don't think very far, because if they win, they do beat Duluth, they're going to have to go down to Minneapolis and play the Gophers again. Yeah. And that's just tough. They hung with them, but we just got proven that the Gophers will probably win most games. And it's not kind of one of those things where you could say, well, if we play them 10 times, they might win 9. As you got to beat them twice, and so it's not one you can just go down and win a fluke game. You got to win them. You got to beat them twice, and I just don't think Bemidji State has the power to do that against the Gophers.
For sure. Well, now let's go into the men's. So the men's lose on Friday 3-1, and also lose on Saturday 3-2 in double OT. What's your thoughts on that game?
I think they should have won at least the second one. Now, Bowling Green, good team, second in the WCHA, but I thought they should have had the second one. They lost 2-0, and this Saturday's game was one I got to watch most of. But they got down 2-0 and then made a comeback, and I thought they were gonna do it and win it, and they get into 3-on-3 overtime, and the way Bowling Green scored, I wasn't real happy with what happened, and I know you and I talked about it. And I'm not going to say I'm a hockey expert. I wasn't allowed to play hockey when I was younger, and so I wasn't coached. I wasn't that, but I've watched enough hockey in my life, and I've seen this play over and over and over again. And I just don't like how the defense takes it. And it was 2-on-1. Bowling Green comes down with a 2-on-1, and I can't remember who the defenseman was who was back for Bemidji State, but he comes and he kind of takes away the pass, so he wouldn't be able to pass it across and get a one-timer and beat Driscoll over shoulder or whatever. And he takes that away, but doing so, he gives the puck handler kind of a free lane to the net, and so it's one-on-one with Driscoll, and Driscoll lost that and went 5-hole on him and snuck it by him, whereas I think, in my opinion, and remember, I'm no hockey expert, I'm not a coach, I'm not claiming this might not be the right way people are taught, but in my opinion, I felt like he should take away the shooter. The shooter's one with the puck. The guy, make him make that pass. You can make a play, you can dive down on the ice, try and take away that pass, get your stick out there and try and take away that pass, all while taking away the shooter, making it just a little more difficult instead of just giving him that free lane to the net. So I wasn't very happy with that, and a tough way to end out the home regular season.
For sure, and he could probably play a lot better because he could play in between both of them as the defense. As a defender, you can play in between the passer and then the shooter, which also makes it harder on the shooter then, because then they have to decide whether they're going to pass it or shoot it. And it also gives them not an opportunity just, if you take the pass, they're not just going to walk in and then do a little thing around the goalie. So that's just one of those things. It's a quick second decision too. So when you're ever playing, you played baseball and stuff like that. It's one of those things. It's a quick second decision, and I'm sure that's what happened. And he just took what he thought was the right decision at the right time. Yeah,
and that kind of stuff happens, and it was one of those things where really you get down to it, where that extra point honestly wasn't going to matter that much when you really think about it. Yeah, so instead of getting 2 points, they got 1, but in reality, you really wanted 3 points out of the game standings-wise.
Oh, yeah.
2, yeah, sure, it'd be nice to have that extra 1, but it really wasn't going to help you much more than 1. So you get to that point, it was kind of it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, a win would have felt really, really nice on senior night.
Oh, yeah, for sure, especially for the seniors there. There's still, 2, I think it was, from the men's as well? 2 or 3?
There's a few of them, yeah.
It was 6, actually, seniors, not bad. And then for the upcoming game for the men's, they play against Minnesota State, and this can really decide whether they're home or away. Do you think they'll win against Minnesota State to get us a playoff spot?
Not enough.
No?
They might win one game, they might take one in overtime, but it's not going to be enough to get us a home playoff series, which bums me out. I had a ton of fun going to those games. It's a fun atmosphere. I had a lot of fun out there, and so I was hoping for it. I still am hoping for it. There's a possibility of it, but I'm not expecting it. I know most people at Sanford Center aren't expecting it. They're thinking hockey season's done here in Bemidji, but you never know. It's a weird game, but Mankato's a strong team. They're very strong. You got to go down to Mankato to go play them. You got to beat them twice. It's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, and especially with Lake Superior, I think their next game is against Ferris State.
Yeah.
And they are having on a losing streak here, but they do play against the number 9 in the standings, which is Ferris State.
Yeah.
Both that weekend, and so that's the closest they would get to somebody is them, because they're only 2 points behind them.
Yeah, Ferris State would have to upset Lake Superior State, and I don't see that happening either.
Maybe if they split, we still maybe have a chance.
It's still a really weird scenario, and I'm not even going to try and explain it this week because it's still so complicated. But there'd have to be a lot of things that would happen in our favor, and I don't see it happening. Not this week.
Do you think for the Beavers men's, do you think there's anything they can improve on next season? Especially just for what's been going on for playoffs.
Well, yeah, you say you go down and win these 2 games, that's going to be a huge boost. And again, I don't think you expect anything out of these playoffs. I don't expect the WCHA championship or anything. But what you go in for these playoffs is to getting experience for these younger players. You're losing 6 seniors, like you said, but you've still got a young goalie, you've got young talent, and I think it's just going to be a great experience. You can come in and play some of these teams and hang with them and say, hey, we're going to be back next year, and we're going to be back next year better than ever, and so you better watch out for Bemidji State. Small town up north, we're going to come and punch you in the mouth next year, and you better watch out for it.
Yeah, for sure. I hope that actually comes true for next year. All right, guys, that's all we got here for you guys for this week. We'll see you guys next week.